In folks, a quick question came in today. It's a nice question about the Stylophone DS-2 Drone Synth. Question goes, can I use the two dry signal outputs or signal outputs of the DS2 oscillators instead of the main output, which is that output? If so, is the filter still hearable on the dry output? Thanks. Okay. Sure, we can explain that. So this is a Stylophone DS2 drone synthesizer. It has a main output. In fact, I'm using the headphone output because I've got this set up. If it's in the main output, this internal speaker's still sounding. I think you can change that. But if you go into the headphone output, you've got a separate headphone amplifier here. Yeah, cool. But it's a two-voice drone synth, and each of the two voices have their own outputs. This one here, this one here. So the dude was asking, can I, if these operate, can I have separate outputs for this? So I did a demo over lunch showing this. But I'll just give you the findings, my findings of my experiments, because I didn't know. If you patch into the main output, these two outputs become muted. So it's like internally kind of normalized. So you can either use the main outs or the separate outputs for each voice. Now, if you do use the separate outputs for each voice, yes, the filter, you still hear the filter, and yes, you still hear the LFO. It's the LFO section. So these two separate outputs are post the filter and post the LFO. And the outputs, the bit at the end will demonstrate that with my modular synth. Because on my modular synth, I have a little mixer module, so we can have those two inputs going into their separate inputs. So yeah, that absolutely works. You can have these on separate outputs, and it's post the filter and it's post the LFO. Alrighty, so we've got our drone synth here. The direct out of drone voice 1, that goes to my mixer here, so we can hear drone voice 1. Lovely. And the output of the second drone voice here goes to that channel of the little mixer here in modular world. So we can hear both voices there. Lovely stuff. So does the main, first thing to say is if the main out is muted if these two direct outs are used, because the main out is going to the main mixer and I hear nothing unless I disconnect the direct outs. That's the main out, which includes the affected version. So the main, so the direct outs of each voice bypass the effects unit of the stylophone. So we're just hearing the unaffected drone voices. Right, let's keep drone voice 1 on. Does the LFO have an effect? Yes. So that's LFO affecting drone voice 1. There we go. Turn the LFO off. Does the filter affect the direct out? Yes, it does. So we can filter it right out. Filter it back. And there's our lovely resonant filter there. Really nice. And we can have the LFO back on. Lovely stuff. Same deal, voice 2. Filter works. Lovely. LFO. We can mix in voice 2. The two different voices, the LFO speeds are slightly different, which is cool. So there we go. So then the answer to the question is the direct outs, yep, they do pick up the LFO signal and the filter. So they're post LFO, post filter, but they're pre the built-in effects. I hope that answers the question.